When you turn 70, people start telling you to slow down. Take it easy, they say. Avoid stress. Eat less sugar. Sleep more. I heard it all. And honestly, I thought I was doing okay. I walked every day, ate mostly home-cooked meals, and still enjoyed tending to my little herb garden. But one morning, as I was trimming my nails, I noticed something. Small white spots. One here, another there. I hadn't seen them before. My first thought, maybe I hit my hand without realizing. But the spots didn't go away. In fact, more appeared. I brushed it off. I was 74 after all. Old nails, old body, right? Weeks passed. I started to feel slower. Not just physically tired, but mentally foggy. Some nights I couldn't sleep at all. My legs felt heavy. I began forgetting things I usually never forgot. I couldn't find the salt even when it was in front of me. My son's birthday slipped my mind. Still, I didn't make the connection. It wasn't until I stood up one morning and everything spun sharp and fast that I realized something was truly wrong. I collapsed beside the kitchen table. When I came to, my shoulder ached and my son was shouting my name. The hospital visit that followed wasn't dramatic. No big diagnoses, no loud alarms, but the doctor looked at my hands for a moment longer than expected. "These white spots," he said, "have you noticed them for long?" I nodded. He asked questions. He ran tests. And then he told me something that changed my life. Those tiny white marks on my fingernails were not harmless. They were signs. Early warnings. My body had been trying to speak to me, gently, quietly, and I had ignored it. What happened next led me to change everything. And honestly, I believe those little white dots saved my life. So if you're here reading this, I want to share the full story, because I learned the hard way. It's not always the big things that bring us down. Sometimes it's what we dismiss as small. Let me show you what to watch for before it's too late. Before all this happened, I considered myself a healthy man. My name is Richard, and I've lived in the same small town outside of Des Moines, Iowa, for most of my life. I'm 74 now, retired from running a local appliance repair shop. That business kept me on my feet for over 4 decades, lifting, fixing, problem-solving. I didn't sit much, and I sure didn't feel old. I lost my wife Carol 10 years ago. She had been my compass for more than 40 years. After her passing, I promised myself I would stay independent, active and sharp for her, for our grandchildren and for myself. I kept a routine, woke up before 7 every morning, took a brisk walk to the corner store for a newspaper, cooked oatmeal for breakfast, did my own chores, tended to my small patch of tomatoes and basil. I even volunteered at the church once a week. Sure, there were small signs of age, some aches in the knees when the weather changed, a little fatigue in the evenings, but nothing serious. I wasn't on any prescription meds. My doctor used to joke that I was boring because my numbers were always fine. Blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, all within range. I had always believed that health came down to 3 things: eat well, move daily, and sleep at night. And for the most part, I did that. But I never gave much thought to subtle symptoms, like the white spots on my nails, or the increasing dryness of my skin, or how I was craving more salty foods. Then there were things I didn't even notice until later, how often I was forgetting words mid-sentence, how my balance wasn't quite as steady on uneven ground, how my nails seemed brittle, breaking easier than they used to. But I chalked it all up to aging. That's the dangerous part, I think. When you're past 70, people expect you to be declining, so you start expecting it too. You stop asking questions. You start accepting the slow unravelling. But sometimes it's not age at all. Sometimes it's something you can fix if you catch it in time. That's what happened to me. And now, looking back, I realise I missed the first warnings because I didn't know how to read the signs. And those signs, they were all over my body. Let's talk about the first one. It might be showing up on your hands right now. It started with something small. A white spot on my left thumbnail, then one on the right. Within a few months, several of my nails had them. Tiny chalky flecks or short white lines running crosswise. I didn't think much of it. I figured it was from bumping my hands around the workshop or gardening, but I wasn't doing heavy labour anymore, and I wasn't injuring myself. That's when my daughter, a nurse, noticed them one Sunday afternoon. She was handing me a glass of water and paused mid-motion. "Dad, how long have you had those marks on your nails?" I shrugged. A while. I thought it was normal at my age. She shook her head gently. Not always. Sometimes that's your body telling you something's off, like a deficiency. Later that week I looked it up. Turns out those white marks, called leukonychia, aren't just cosmetic. They can be a signal that your body is lacking something essential. One of the most common causes in older adults, zinc deficiency. Zinc is one of those minerals you rarely hear about, unless you're deep into health reading. But it plays a huge role in immune function, wound healing, DNA repair, even your sense of taste and smell. And as we age, our ability to absorb zinc declines. To make things worse, many older adults eat less protein or rely on processed food, which further reduces zinc intake. The white spots weren't just a sign of vanity. They were my body waving a white flag. When I dug deeper, I realized I'd also had a few other symptoms: slower healing cuts, a muted sense of taste, and more frequent colds than usual that winter. It all started making sense. So I made a change. I began adding zinc-rich foods to my daily meals: pumpkin seeds, cashews, chickpeas and eggs. I also swapped out white bread for whole grains and cut back on sugar, which can interfere with mineral absorption. Within a few weeks I noticed the difference. The new nail growth came in clean, no white marks. My taste started to sharpen again. And that lingering fatigue, it began to lift. We often look for big signs: chest pain, dizziness, dramatic weight loss. But sometimes it's the quietest signs that matter most. A spot on your nail might be whispering what your blood work isn't shouting yet. If you've noticed white marks on your nails and brushed them off, don't. It could be a signal that your body is asking for help. And if your body is already sending that message, there may be more signs you're overlooking. Let's move to the next one that almost knocked me off my feet, literally. A few years ago, I was reaching up to grab a cereal box from the kitchen shelf. Nothing heavy, nothing risky. But as I stepped back down, something strange happened. My balance shifted, and I stumbled sideways. I caught myself against the counter, but it rattled me. At first, I dismissed it. Just got up too fast, I thought. But the next week, it happened again. Then a third time, while turning to answer the phone. That's when I realized something important. The ground hadn't changed. My balance had. Most people think of balance issues as a normal part of aging, but the truth is, sudden or progressive loss of balance is not just a symptom of getting older, it's a signal, one that can predict falls, injuries, and even declining brain or nerve function. Doctors refer to this as a decline in proprioception, your body's ability to sense where it is in space. It relies on healthy joints, strong muscles, inner ear function and brain communication. When any part of that system weakens, your body starts to lose its footing, literally. I went to my doctor, who ran a few quick assessments. One simple test was the single-leg balance test, standing on one leg for 10 seconds without support. I wobbled at 6. That might not sound serious, but research shows adults over 70 who can't balance for 10 seconds have significantly higher risks of falls and mortality. The good news? Balance can be rebuilt. Here's what I started doing, and still do. I began each morning standing barefoot beside a wall. I'd lift one foot and try to hold for 10 seconds. I didn't always succeed at first, but I got better. I added heel-to-toe walking down the hallway. It made me feel silly at first, like I was in a sobriety test. But it worked. Twice a week, I started attending a Tai Chi class at the community centre. That changed everything. Not only did my balance improve, but so did my posture, breathing and confidence. After a few weeks, I stopped fearing the stairs. I walked more steadily. I could step over the garden hose without bracing against the fence. And that's the deeper truth. Losing your balance isn't just about mobility. It affects your independence, your freedom, even your identity. We often accept small slips and stumbles as nothing. But those stumbles are the body's way of saying, I need support. And ignoring them doesn't mean they go away. It means they grow. If you've been holding on to furniture more lately, avoiding uneven sidewalks or hesitating at curbs, don't wait for a fall to wake you up. Start now. Just a few minutes a day spent training balance can literally add years to your mobility and your life. Next, we'll look at another unexpected predictor, hidden not in your bones or muscles, but in your hands. It happened while I was opening a jar of pickles. I'd done it 100 times before, but that day the lid wouldn't budge. I tried again. Nothing. My hands, once firm and steady, now trembled slightly under the pressure. It was a small moment, easy to overlook, but it stayed with me. A few days later, I noticed something else. My grocery bags felt heavier. I dropped my keys more often. I struggled to twist open a water bottle. That's when I learned about the powerful connection between grip strength and longevity. Doctors have a simple way of predicting long-term health in older adults. They measure how tightly you can squeeze. And surprisingly, grip strength is not just about your hands. It's a window into your entire body's strength, resilience and aging process. In fact, studies have shown that people with stronger grips tend to live longer, have fewer hospitalizations and recover faster from illness. Why? Because your grip reflects muscle mass, nervous system function and even cardiovascular health. And here's the shocking part. Grip strength often starts to decline in your 60s, long before you notice it in big ways. So what did I do when I realized my grip was slipping? I made grip training part of my daily routine. I bought a small hand gripper from the pharmacy and kept it by my chair. While watching the news or talking on the phone, I'd squeeze it 20 times in each hand. I started carrying my grocery bags instead of using a cart, even if it meant lighter loads and more trips. I returned to gardening, pulling weeds, turning soil, trimming plants. It wasn't just peaceful, it was practical hand training. One of the most effective changes I made was adding a short morning routine. After brushing my teeth, I'd hold a small towel in both hands and twist it as if wringing out water. 10 repetitions, left to right, right to left. It sounds simple, but it lights up every muscle from your fingers to your shoulders. After just 2 weeks, I noticed something. Jars didn't fight me anymore. My handshake was firmer, my confidence returned. Grip strength isn't about being macho or lifting weights. It's about function, about being able to cook, write, garden, clean, drive, live. If you've noticed your hands tiring quicker, or if simple tasks feel harder than they used to, don't ignore it. It's not just wear and tear, it's a warning and an opportunity. The body gives us subtle messages long before it screams, and grip strength is one of the quietest and clearest. Strengthen your hands and you strengthen your life. Up next, we'll turn to a more internal signal, something even more revealing than your muscles. It's the rhythm of your steps. It starts without you even noticing. One day, you're walking through the parking lot and someone passes you briskly. You think maybe they're in a hurry. A week later, it happens again. This time it's a child with their grandmother, and you realize the grandmother is moving faster than you. Walking speed might seem like a small detail, but science says otherwise. In fact, it's one of the most accurate indicators of how long and how well you'll live after 70. Researchers call it the sixth vital sign. And what they've found is striking. Older adults who maintain a steady, confident walking pace are more likely to live independently, avoid hospitalization, and stay mentally sharp. But why does it matter so much? Because walking isn't just a physical act. It involves your brain, your muscles, your balance, your joints and your lungs all working together. A slowdown in walking speed is often the first sign that one or more of those systems is struggling. And I know this firsthand. After turning 74, I began noticing that my morning walks took longer. At first I blamed the weather or the shoes I wore, but eventually I had to face the truth. My stride had shortened and I was pausing more often. I wasn't tired, I was cautious. My body didn't feel as steady, so I went to my doctor, who did a simple test. He timed me walking 10 feet across the exam room. Then he said, "You're a little below average for your age." It stung, but it also lit a fire under me. I started making walking a real part of my health practice, not just for errands or chores, but intentional walking. Every morning I'd set a timer for 15 minutes and walk the same loop around my neighborhood, rain or shine. Some days I'd add a hill, others I'd increase my pace slightly. And always I focused on posture, shoulders back, arms swinging, eyes up. In less than a month my speed increased. I felt lighter, more stable. My energy stayed higher throughout the day, and surprisingly, even my memory improved. That's because walking stimulates blood flow to the brain, which sharpens cognition. But here's the real kicker. Walking builds confidence. The kind that says, I can cross the street in time, I can keep up with my grandkids, I can move forward. If you've noticed yourself slowing down, don't accept it as inevitable. Speed isn't about age, it's about use. Muscles respond, brains adapt, and walking, simple as it is, rewires both. Take this as your invitation. Time yourself walking 10 feet. If it takes longer than 6 or 7 seconds, you've got work to do. But the good news? That work is as simple as lacing up your shoes. Every step you take is an investment in your future. Now let's explore one of the most overlooked predictors of healthy aging, and one that happens quietly every single night. Sleep. Sleep? It's something we've done every night of our lives, yet most of us don't think about it until it starts going wrong. Waking up at 3 a.m. and not falling back asleep, tossing and turning for hours, feeling drained even after a full night in bed. Sound familiar? If so, you're not alone. Studies show that nearly 50% of people over 70 experience disrupted sleep. But here's what most don't realize. Poor sleep isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. It's one of the clearest signs your health may be slipping. Why? Because while you're asleep, your body is busy healing. Your immune system rebuilds, your brain clears toxins, your heart slows down to repair, your muscles recover. So when sleep is shallow, interrupted or shortened, your body misses those critical repairs, and the damage accumulates, quietly. There's even more. Poor sleep has been linked to memory loss, depression, higher blood pressure, weight gain, and increased risk of type 2 diabetes. It affects your mood, your energy, and even how well your medications work. I experienced this decline myself at 76. For months, I found myself waking in the middle of the night, mind racing, heart lightly pounding, staring at the ceiling. No matter how early I went to bed, I still woke up feeling like I'd barely slept. My days began with fatigue and ended in frustration. At first I thought it was just aging, but my doctor explained that aging changes sleep patterns. Yes, but it doesn't mean poor sleep is normal. The good news? Sleep can be repaired without pills. I started with 2 simple changes. First, I created a strict routine. I went to bed at the same time every night, even weekends. I woke up at the same time, even if I'd had a bad night. That one change helped my body reset its rhythm. Second, I got natural morning light. Every day, within an hour of waking, I'd sit outside or near a window for at least 10 minutes. That sunlight hit my eyes and told my brain, it's daytime now, helping regulate melatonin production for better sleep later. Then I added small things. No screens 1 hour before bed, herbal tea instead of late-night snacks, a short gratitude practice, just listing 3 things I was thankful for that day. It calmed my mind and signaled safety to my nervous system. Within 2 weeks I noticed a difference. I stayed asleep longer, my mornings felt clearer, my thoughts were less foggy, and best of all, my mood improved. Now I treat sleep like medicine. Not an afterthought, not a luxury, but a pillar of my health equal to food and movement. So ask yourself, do you wake feeling rested? Do you fall asleep easily and stay asleep? If not, it's time to take sleep seriously, because when sleep improves, everything else follows. Your memory, your energy, even your hope. Next, we'll talk about something most people overlook completely, but it might be the most powerful indicator of how long and well you'll live. Appetite may seem like a small thing, but in people over 70, it's one of the most powerful indicators of long-term health, and even lifespan. We often think of weight loss or a lack of hunger as normal with aging. Doctors might even say, that's just how it goes. But they're wrong. A sudden drop in appetite or unexplained weight loss is a warning light, and one we shouldn't ignore. I remember it clearly. My neighbour Elaine, who used to love food, suddenly stopped enjoying meals. At first she blamed it on her taste buds changing. Then she said she wasn't hungry or too tired to cook. She started skipping dinner altogether. Within months she had dropped nearly 10 pounds, mostly muscle. Her energy dipped, her mood changed, and simple tasks started feeling like mountains. That's when I learned a shrinking appetite is not just about food, it's a sign your body may be struggling. In older adults, nutrition becomes even more important. Every bite counts. You're not just eating for fuel, you're eating to support your immune system, your brain, your muscles, your bones. So what can you do if your appetite fades? First, recognize the red flags. Skipping meals frequently, feeling full quickly, losing weight without trying, relying on processed or snack foods, lack of energy or motivation to cook. Second, simplify your meals but boost their power. Focus on nutrient-dense foods that are easy to digest. Think soft-cooked vegetables, soups, smoothies with protein, oatmeal with seeds and nuts, eggs and full-fat Greek yogurt. I personally started adding a power bowl to my day. One boiled egg, a handful of steamed spinach, some quinoa, and a drizzle of olive oil. Small, yes, but packed with protein, iron, healthy fats and flavour. Third, make meals enjoyable again. Eat with someone. Light a candle. Play soft music. Sit near a window. The emotional experience of eating matters just as much as the food itself. Studies show that seniors who eat socially are more likely to maintain a healthy weight and better mental health. Hydration is also critical. Dehydration can suppress appetite. Make it a habit to sip warm herbal tea or water with lemon throughout the day. And here's a surprising fact. Your sense of smell and taste may fade slightly with age. So, add spices. Add colour. Stimulate your senses. Most of all, stop treating eating like a chore. It's care. It's connection. It's healing. If you've noticed that your meals are becoming smaller, less satisfying, or more processed, that's not just aging, that's a message, and it's one worth listening to, because when you nourish your body deeply, even in small portions, you're not just staying alive. You're giving yourself the fuel to thrive. Next, we'll talk about something even more invisible, but even more powerful, your ability to handle stress. There's a quiet killer that no scan, no blood test, and no stethoscope can easily detect, yet it affects nearly every senior I've ever known. It's not cholesterol, not blood sugar, it's chronic stress. After 70, stress doesn't look the same as it did in your 40s or 50s. It may not feel like panic or chaos. It's often quieter, heavier. A constant background noise in your body, tight shoulders, shallow breath, irritation over small things, or just a vague feeling that something is always off. But make no mistake, chronic stress is as dangerous as smoking or high blood pressure. It accelerates aging, weakens your immune system, increases inflammation, disrupts sleep, raises your risk of heart disease and dementia, and steals the joy from your days. I saw it firsthand with my friend Harold. Harold was 78, sharp as ever, but always tense. His mind raced through what-ifs, the news, his savings, his kids, his health. He couldn't relax. Every bump in the road felt like a crisis. And over time, his body began to pay the price. He developed ulcers, high blood pressure, and struggled to sleep more than a few hours a night. Meanwhile, his sister Ruth, same age, had just as many challenges, but approached them differently. She breathed, she laughed, she journaled. She didn't pretend life was perfect, but she didn't let it swallow her, and it showed. Ruth's health stayed remarkably stable, her memory sharp, her mood steady, her blood pressure low. Why? Because how we process stress after 70 might just be the biggest secret to long life. So how do you know if stress is aging you? Ask yourself, do you feel easily irritated? Do you replay conversations in your head at night? Do you worry about things beyond your control? Is your sleep shallow or disturbed? Do you feel tense even when doing nothing? If you said yes to 2 or more, it's time to look at stress not as a mental burden but as a physical one. Now here's what helped me and so many others. 1. Start your day in calm, not chaos. Don't check your phone first, don't rush. Begin with a few deep breaths, just 2-3 minutes of slow breathing lowers cortisol and stabilizes your heart rate. 2. Talk it out. Whether it's a friend, a journal or a prayer, let your thoughts out. Bottling them up is like shaking a soda can and never opening it. 3. Move your body. Even a short walk releases endorphins, the body's natural stress relievers. 4. Practice gratitude. Each night, list 3 things that went right. Small things count. Warm tea, a smile from a stranger, no joint pain today. 5. Cut the noise. Limit your news intake. Choose calm music. Say no to what drains you. Because stress, left unmanaged, doesn't just ruin days, it shortens years. But here's the good news. You can start undoing its damage today. No matter how old you are, the body still responds to calm, still heals in peace, still remembers how to feel safe. In our final section, we'll bring it all together and talk about how to apply these signs in your daily life without overwhelm. By now, you've heard the 7 signs. 7 powerful indicators that can predict how long and how well you might live after 70. But maybe you're thinking, this sounds like a lot to fix. Or maybe you're wondering, what if I've already slipped on most of these? Here's the truth. You're not behind. You're right on time. These signs aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to wake you up gently, to offer a mirror, not a judgment. Because every one of these signs is something you can improve, slowly, steadily, intentionally. Let's quickly recap. If your balance is shaky, your body is asking for attention, not punishment. Just a few minutes of balance practice daily can rebuild stability. If your grip is weak, it's not the end, it's a cue. Strength can return at any age with light training. If your walking speed has slowed, don't panic. Step by step, you can rebuild stamina. If your sleep is broken, small changes like morning sunlight or no screens at night can reset your clock. If your appetite has faded, your body might be needing deeper nourishment, not just food. If your stress is heavy, your nervous system is asking for stillness, for space, for breath. If your connections have withered, your heart is simply asking to belong again. The takeaway: aging is not the problem. Disconnection is. Disconnection from your body, your instincts, your community, your rhythm. And when you restore those connections, your balance, your breath, your walk, your laughter, you restore vitality. You don't need a gym. You don't need supplements. You don't need perfect routines. You just need to care daily, gently, consistently. What matters now is not how far you've drifted, but that you've decided to come back. So where do you start? Don't aim to change everything. Aim to change one thing. Maybe it's standing on one foot for 10 seconds a day, or eating one colourful whole meal, or calling a friend, or writing in a notebook before bed. Pick one habit, one moment, one small promise to your future self, because when you keep that promise today, your body will remember it tomorrow. And here's something most people forget. You're not doing this to avoid death. You're doing this to live fully until the very last breath. There's a difference. At 74, I made a choice. I didn't want to just count my years, I wanted my years to count. And now I pass that choice to you. Let's close with a final thought in our last section. The lesson I'd share with anyone over 70 who wants to live longer and better, not just by adding years, but by adding life to those years. If I could sit across from you right now, look you in the eye, and offer one thing, not advice, not rules, just something honest from experience, it would be this. You are not done. Not by a long shot. I've seen too many people give up quietly, not because they were ready, but because they believed the lie that aging is only about decline, that after 70, the best parts are behind us, that we're too old to change, too tired to grow, too late to begin again. But I've lived long enough to tell you, that belief is what ages you fastest, because aging doesn't start in the body, it starts in the story you tell yourself, the one that says you can't walk faster, or balance again, or build strength, or make new friends, or sleep through the night, or laugh like you used to. The story you choose every morning becomes the body you live in. So here's the story I hope you start telling yourself from today. I'm still here, so I still can. Still heal, still move, still learn, still love, still grow, still surprise yourself. Everything you just read, those 7 signs, they're not just health tips, they're invitations, gentle nudges to return to the body you might have ignored, to the relationships you've postponed, to the small joys that still belong to you. What if your best years aren't behind you, but waiting inside the habits you haven't tried yet? What if strength isn't something you lost, but something you can still reclaim? What if clarity isn't something that fades, but something that deepens when you listen more carefully? You don't need to chase youth. You don't need to erase wrinkles or pretend to be someone you were 30 years ago. You only need to become someone who keeps choosing vitality over and over again. There's nothing passive about growing older. It's the most active thing you can do. Every breath is a decision. Every step is a declaration. And if all of this feels overwhelming, remember, you only need to start with one thing, one sign, one habit, one act of care, because when you build momentum slowly, gently, truthfully, you create something far more powerful than routine. You create a rhythm your body can trust, a rhythm your mind can rest in, a rhythm your spirit can dance to, even in your 70s, 80s and beyond. So if you've made it to this part of the video, take this as your sign. Not just that you can live longer, but that you can live better. And the next time someone asks you, how are you doing at your age? I hope your answer is simple, steady and true. I'm still here, and I'm still choosing to thrive.